Just a quick update. 2 or 3 days on, these suckers have actually grown a little bit. I mean, the way just started, but so far so good with this liquid plant food. I don't know anything about hydroponics, so I didn't want to go into too much with the plant food or liquid plant fertilizer, because it can get a bit confusing. It's all used for growing other stuff. I just want to grow these tomatoes and see how they go. So using this pretty much cheap system. It's an auto pot, but it is not. I'm just going to use this system, which is you're supposed to use it for just going on holiday, I suppose. Put your plants in there, keep them watered. But I'm going to use it for a few months and see how we get on. I mean, with this cocoa and perlite, which I'll take you over there because it's very light. I found a few shells in there and bits and bobs, but it's very, very light stuff, and it really does soak up this liquid plant fertilizer. So what's happened is, if I touch that, it's damp, and it's got no nutrients in here, so it needs to be able, the roots need to be able to spread out quite easily, and also be able to and have that distance between the liquid fertilizer and the plant itself, so it's got room to breathe, the roots have, I suppose, as well as draw up the nutrients, I suppose. And we'll see how they go. At the moment they're going very well. This tray is going to go into a grow tent, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, which I'll post another video. It's a 600 watt light I'll be using, LED lights for save energy. Apparently if I left it on all day, it might cost me 5 or 10 pence or something like that. People say 5 pence, but I'm going to say 10 pence. But because I'm only getting it on for 12 hours, we'll call it 5 pence a day, 35 pence a week, 40 pence a week, whatever you want to call it. So that's going to work out at 150 a month, something like that. So anyway, it's expensive for tomatoes if you're going to grow a couple of tomato plants, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. I want to see how these telescopic pots get on in the secondary roots. So these are suckers I've started to root in this cocoa and perlite, and we'll see how they go. Anyway, just a quick update. So the next plan is to transfer this tray into the grow tent, which has come. It's a little bit bigger than the tray itself, not much bigger. So it's I think it's supposed to be 2 foot by 2 foot, but it seems a little bit bigger than that. And it's 6 foot tall, so obviously I wanted it quite tall. We're going to have to keep these well pruned to fit in there eventually, if the tomatoes do grow. But I suspect they will. But in my opinion, these telescopic pots, what it does is, instead of if this was the top of a normal pot in your planting pot, but it'd be up here somewhere by the time you start getting some flowers, and you get tomatoes on there. So by the time you got to the top of the grow tent, you might get 2 or 3 trusses, and that'll be the end of it. But with these telescopic pots, because we're starting to plant in the bottom there, as it grows, we'll increase. I mean, we've got a small one and a big one. We'll put one section up, turn it locks, top that up. So by the time this pot's about this high, it's about, I can't really show you by the video, but it's about 1 foot high. This one, which is a cherry tomato, which is a lot smaller, I'll measure them for you when they're fully extended. Can't think of it just at the moment. But so when it's fully expanded to its full, it'll be a mature plant, lots of roots in there, and plenty of room still to grow. They should be reaching through the nutrients and then eventually to the bottom of the pot. The bottom of the pot's got some clay pebbles in, which nicely soak the liquid up and help support the roots. I should maybe put some in with the actual round the stem of the plant around here with the cocoa and perlite maybe. once I've soaked them a bit. Had a little bit of strength, a bit like stones and soil. It'll just maybe give it a bit more sturdiness, because it is, even though it's damp, it's a bit how can I put that? It's damp, but it's not really compact, which is really good for roots. But we're going to make the tomato plant a bit more sturdy. I might put some of these clay pebbles in there with it. But yeah, so far so good. We'll see how the light gets on. And the plan is, when these pots are fully extended, your tomatoes will start forming really low down, so right at the bottom of the pot, the top of the pot, so to speak. So you can imagine that's the top of the pot when it's fully extended. You should be having the tomatoes forming here. And so these telescopic pots, hopefully, will get quite a few tomatoes on there. All depends on how the light works and this plant food, which is another experiment which is worth doing over winter. Bit of an interest. But yeah, if this was outside and it was March time, I'd be planting me seeds in there, maybe at February indoors. They'd be growing like this till about March time, and then mid-March, end of March, if my greenhouse is quite warm and it's quite heated where I am, quite a bit of heater in there, I could transfer this section into the greenhouse, or maybe I could leave it indoors if it was cold weather, put another section on there, build a compost up, and then take the two sections in there. Then as it grows, I just increase it. The good thing about that is if your greenhouse growing, and I hope to show this to you, your tomatoes growing in this way in one of these will start low down in your container, whereas if you're planting them, if that was your normal container, and the top of your container you dug it down a little bit, maybe the bottom two roots, and then put it in, your tomatoes will be starting a foot up from the ground maybe. I know they come down a little bit, but we're starting a foot up, foot and a half up in the air. In some occasions you only get 4 trusses in there. You could get 6 trusses in there in your greenhouse, in a normal small size greenhouse, because the tomatoes are starting a lot lower down. I've even had to give them a bit of support with a bit of twine, but that's not a problem. You can buy supports for your tomatoes which clip onto maybe a cane or maybe a string, which helps support your tomatoes, so that's not a problem. And you'll get more trusses in your greenhouse. So I'm hoping to show this over winter time for a bit of fun. And I'll speak to you soon, hopefully when it's in the grow tent and the grow lights on. Okay, thank you, bye.